Hey everyone, welcome to Lunch Therapy. This is Lunch Therapy. It's a place to kind of put aside all the crap, get on with your day. We're going to breathe. We're going to have the incredible Hank Chen on today. This is a show where we don't worry about anything. We know it's 4th of July weekend, but it could be any weekend. Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. Happy birthday. Thank you for coming to Lunch Therapy. You can chat. You can give us a hard time. You can, let's see what the chat room is saying. Hoi, which is a very popular thing to say on this show. Hoi is our way of saying hello. Hello there, hoi. So whenever you say hi in this show, just make sure you say hoi. Even if you're like, I'm getting hoi. Right now I'm really hoi. Just go ahead and throw hoi in there. And also you can say Freude. Wherever you want to put it in there. Just throw it in there liberally. We're going to get on with the show now. This is Lunch Therapy. We're going to have Hank Chen on. We're going to have some elephants. We're going to have a guy playing a shovel. I wanted to point this out to you before we get into the show. I am wearing this shirt from Justin Johnson. Justin Johnson is a YouTube guitarist, a master of the guitar, and a master of the shovel. So you're going to see him playing the shovel later today. Checking the chat room. I got Howard Aronin here. Fantastic comedian. Just got a call back for a commercial on his first go. I seem very blurry. It must be that you're holy. Hola, Jay. Hola. I don't know. I tried. Let's get on with this. It is Lunch Therapy, Interview Friday. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 Hey Guy Fly, how's your eye? Here we are for the breathing portion of the show. We've got some really nice fish behind us. Yes, I never get used to that, having fish. I always had fish when I was a kid, but the problem was I really liked to show them off. So I would take the fish out of the tank, and if somebody comes to the door, I'd take the fish out of the tank. I'd be like, look, this is my fish. And, it turns out that's fish abuse. Yeah. So, you learn. You learn. When you're a kid, you just really don't get it. My mom sent me this, speaking of, being a kid. And it says, I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in silence, and the truth comes to me. Apparently it was said by Albert Einstein. I think it's good advice to stop thinking. So we're going to stop thinking. Yeah, torturing fish. I know. I didn't mean to. What can you do? You have regrets. In through the nose, out through the toes. With the first breath, I got the Hankster in the green room, bonging out with Boney. Let it go. No, I don't know if he's bonging out, but he's in there. He's waiting. We're going to have him live. Yeah, today is live. So God help us. Let's hope that I don't say weird things again like I did last time. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. We got a great dance break today with the shovel playing Justin Johnson. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. I got all 3 breaths in. All right, so Hank. Hank is going to be on here any second. I promise you. I promise you he will be here. Hank and I met. Sounds like a creepy story because of the music, but Hank and I met creepily at the Fourth Wall, which is a facility here in Los Angeles run by the incredible Joe Menente. He has 3 facilities, and it's a place for comedians to just go and try out their stuff. in front of other comedians, which is always a good idea because other comedians just laugh hysterically when you tell them jokes. They're just like, that's the best thing I ever heard, which is actually not the truth. They usually just look at you like confused. But if you can get them to laugh, you've got something good. Another thing, at the fourth wall, what Hank would do is he'd have a bucket and you pull out different ideas, different topics, and then we would just kind of riff on them. And you'd find all kinds of new material there. I think they're probably up and running again. I'm not sure because I'm too scared to go out of my house. Here's Hank at the fourth wall talking to somebody, guy in the front row with some kind of hat on. I think he told him, "You're never going to make it in Hollywood with that hat." I think he said that. I don't know. We can ask him. This is another place where I saw Hank. It was at our show Laugh Therapy. Seems like a million years ago. We used to have this show that I put on with Cynthia Levin and Harlan Gleason called Laugh Therapy. It was the precursor to Lunch Therapy. And Hank did a hilarious set there, and we'll talk to him about that. But I want to get on with this. Hank is also, besides being at the fourth wall and facilitating comedians and working on their material, he is also a prolific actor and comedian around town. He's been, all over the place. We're going to show some of his comedy today. We're going to show some clips from some of his TV shows that he's been on. And he's also a host. So I think I need to get some notes from him. So let's get into this. This is Hank Chen.
Hi. How would you ladies like to be among the first people in LA to sample the new plant-based skincare line by Canticle?
No.
This stuff is liquefied miracles.
Oh, no. I have to
We're going to brunch.
We'll do it.
At Patio on the Green?
Yeah.
And there's at least an hour wait over there.
Yeah, we can do
No,
it.
I can't do
Just
an hour
a minute.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Well, we're right over here. Best to wait out the brunch rush with us.
Okay.
Are you thirsty? We have cucumber water.
She wants to do it. Come on.
Do you mean to tell me you've gone through your entire life without knowing where your T-zone is?
Yeah.
Huh. You poor deprived soul.
How many are you going to take?
Tammy's coming over tonight. I just want her to see how hot I look.
You lesbians are weird.
The puffiness looks much better, darling.
Really?
Yeah, the peptides in that serum don't mess around.
Oh, but didn't realize I was puffy. Well, I should purchase the serum, don't you think?
Yeah, fabulous. 1 ounce or 2.
One. She'll take 1 ounce.
Oh, yeah. 1 ounce.
I'd be remiss if I also didn't recommend the toner. Otherwise, the serum won't have anything to hold on to.
Well, all right. I should buy a great many of these products.
I too would like to buy a great many of these products. Hi, can I return this, please?
I don't want to say that ruins my day, but that ruins my day.
I'd love cash, thanks. Oh, fuck. What?
Tammy canceled on me.
All right, here he is, Hank Chen. Yeah. So good to see you, Hank. So I started off with that clip from Transparent.
Wow,
you
played the whole thing.
I know, I didn't hold back on that thing. I wanted to show the whole thing. And did you ever work retail? Because you seem really
yeah, I worked
convincing.
a lot of retail. Yes, I worked a lot of retail. I worked many service jobs, many front-facing service jobs. I was a waiter for. I think honestly, I think it should be like a requirement. Like the way that some countries have military service as a requirement. I think a service job should be a requirement. Like it's like community. Well, you know what? Community service in a way is kind of like that. Like when you come out of jail, like Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman, go deliver like food to like homeless people and disadvantaged like communities and just see how well off you are.
It also gives you a feeling. It gives you a feeling of humility and also service, which I think as actors and storytellers, and ultimately we're in the service industry. We're servicing people with stories and entertainment and our creativity, but ultimately it's for them. And I think probably helps. Although I hated working in restaurants. I don't know about you, but
did you do everything? You were a server,
No,
host?
I was not good enough to be a server. I was always a busser. I was a Dynamite buster, by the way.
No way, Joel.
Yeah. Dynamite
What
buster.
restaurant was it?
Hard Rock Cafe. I also worked at the
What?
California Pizza Kitchen. I was the host at the California Pizza Kitchen over there in Beverly, and that was all of these things. Actually, one of the things that was bad about it is you got to keep your feelings like inside. you know, because these people
They
were
wouldn't
rude.
let you.
Oh, no.
They wouldn't let you. They specifically said that you weren't a good. What was lacking? You have a personality, Joel. I can't really see there being that much of a difference between. I can imagine there was much difference between you now and you a couple of years ago. Like,
You know, okay, I did do it. I'm remiss in telling you that I did do it one night at the Hamburger Hamlet in Valencia, California. On a Saturday night. It was my first night. I went through the whole training, and I was so bad. I was so bad that my friends came, and they were one of my tables that night, and they didn't even tip.
What?
They were like,
why
pissed.
were you so bad? Was it? You have to stay on a schedule. That's the hard. You have to coordinate a lot at
I'm
once.
not a
like bringing
multitasker.
people
I'm
food.
a single tasker. Anybody who
Oh.
watches this show knows that I'm not a multitasker because I'm trying to do all this stuff all at once, and clearly I can only focus on one thing at a time. But yeah,
I don't know, Joel. You have to be pretty good at multitasking in order to produce and run and host your own show. Usually people who do like podcasts and like Joe Rogan or any of like the bigger podcasts, they have a producer. You know, they have like a team behind them. You're doing this all by yourself. I think you should give yourself more credit.
I have Boney. He's a skeleton who runs a lot
Boney,
of my
right?
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do have that.
I'm sure Boney's very, very helpful.
Yeah, he's super
No
helpful.
shade to Boney. No shade.
No. I mean, he really knows what he's doing. So I don't know. I think also you have to be thinking ahead all the time. And I like to be in the present. You know, when you're going to go pick up somebody's order or whatever, you also have to grab some silverware for table 4, and you also have to grab some cups, some water for table 7. And so you have to be thinking about all these different things all at once, and you have to plan ahead. You can't just be moving and doing one thing at a time if you're a waiter.
No, yeah. Every trip has to be purposeful. I agree with that. Yeah.
How long did you do it?
I live my life like that now, though, which is really funny. Like when I'm like heading to I'm like when I leave one room and go to another room, I'm always like, is there something that I can take with me? Like, should I empty the trash and like take it like out and put it in the hallway?
That's smart. That's not the way I think. I'm the one who goes for like 5
I drive
trips.
my boyfriend crazy a little bit, though. Yeah. I try not to waste a trip. That's what I do. So
Kamala says Joel works really hard on all the parts of the show. I do.
Oh, Kamala.
Isn't that nice? Now tell me where you are right now, because it looks like you're in the future.
Isn't this cool? So I'm technically in my garage, but in my garage, I had this vocal booth built, and it's funny, like all of these like little foam panels.
Yeah.
They start to like fall, and so you have to just sort of reinforce it. There has the wall underneath it is just like carpet, like regular carpet that you would put in like on the floor of a house, but they line the inside of it, and then you can sort of do whatever you want with the foam situation. But yeah, I do VO.
Voiceovers,
and also,
out there.
Yep. Sorry, voice. I do voiceover, and then I also do. This is too small. I've never done any like on camera acting scenes here, but you know what? I've had like professional calls, so I just need it to be clean audio, so I don't like it's not interrupted by a dog or. Let's see, my boyfriend has had interviews here. He was in grad school and he was looking for internships, so he would sit in here.
Super.
Yeah. So it was
people.
well worth the investment, and it's also like it felt like I built another room. I did build another room for myself. This is like my quiet time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like when I
that's
just
the way I feel
need to be with me.
too. Yeah, I have my little studio in the backyard, in the back
your little
of the garage,
office.
And it's not soundproofed, but I'm not really the master of sound. But I do my best. So you do voiceover for what kind of stuff?
So I have dubbed some commercials.
Yeah.
So sometimes like the actor that they hire, they want to like give them a line, or they don't like the way that the actual actor on camera said it. So I'll go in and redub. I audition a lot. That's anyone who is a professional voiceover actor who isn't like famous, like who isn't like which apparently it's a whole world. I had no idea. I mean, like the way that like we look at like Tom Cruise and Angelina, like there are voiceover artists like in the video game world and in like the cartoon world that are like superstars.
I know. I have a friend who
anyone
just
who's like trying to
was up for a BAFTA for a video game.
Oh no! What?
Yeah, he's up for a
the
BAFTA.
British Academy Awards?
Yes.
Really?
He did this really famous video game that I didn't know about, he's a character that has all kinds of fans, and his name's Jeffrey Pierce.
He probably can tour. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey could probably go to like fan conventions and sign trading cards and
Most
make a mint for appearances.
I think the
people
video
love
game's
that.
called The
So
Last
I'm
of
gonna
Us.
say
But
I audition a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yes, of
You know that
course,
one?
The Last of Us. Wow.
Yeah, he's one of the main
even
characters
I've
in
heard
that.
of The Last of Us.
So
Wow.
Howard Aronin says, was Jeffrey Tambor fun to work with? A question from a fellow comedian.
Jeffrey Tambor was fun to work with. Yeah, he was fun to work with. We shot because we were, as you can see, my scenes were all in that mall. So that was Neiman's Marcus in Beverly Hills here in Los Angeles. We shot like my call time was at like 10 o'clock at night. Like we shot through the middle of the night. So
they shot in the store in the middle of the night. They closed down the store and they shot in there. That's how they do it generally, huh?
Yeah. They did it after hours. Neiman Marcus had their own on-site security. All the jewelry was put away.
Actors.
Crew, actors. But I heard that in department stores, jewelry gets put away every night. You know what I mean? Like,
so.
You're not trying to like everything gets like brought in from the showcase because you don't want to like tempt anybody like walking by or what have you. But it was really cool. And like all the people in there are their background and they lit it the way that they normally would during the day. And Jeffrey was cool to work with, but also like I only worked with him for that one night, and also I was a guest, and I was to me, I'm a kid, given his age and his experience. So he was just really sweet to me. It was a little heartbreaking to hear about whatever trouble he got into in the later seasons that I wasn't even a part of. People were like, what's it like working with him? I was like, he was nice to meet.
I'm on his podcast. He has a podcast called Acting Schmacting, and he interviewed me on
Wait. He has a podcast right now?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he interviews all kinds of people. It's a great podcast too, because he's an acting teacher as well, and he's a really good
I knew that, and he's a terrific acting teacher. Yeah, because he even like rehearsed our scenes that we had to do together. Does he? So that's so great. Does he? This is sort of what he pivoted to now. He's he's
always been a person that's very giving as far as his craft goes. I mean, I used to take from him over at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, and he was fantastic about how he really kind of took interest in your career and really helped you, where you were and help you move forward with that. And he's always really enjoyed, I think, teaching. And so I think this podcast is just kind of an extension of that, because he talks about acting with all kinds of people. Ron Howard's on it and all the people from Arrested Development. And I think Jill Soloway does it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Wait, Jill, because he was he was fired from the last season of the show.
I think maybe they did that interview before that. Yeah, I think maybe before that.
Oh, well, because I was like, oh, well, that would have warmed my heart if it was like, oh, Jill Soloway, who actually goes by Joey now. Joey's now they. For Joey to do an interview, I was like, well, maybe they like made up and
they might have. I don't know.
Honestly, it seemed like it was forever ago.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, that episode. That show premiered in 2014, I think. Yeah. So I'm like, was it such a lot? And it goes by so fast. And
does it ever?
It was. Yeah. Oh, did you like your time at the Beverly Hills Playhouse?
I liked it a lot. There was some interesting stuff there that I question.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. So there was some stuff.
Well, I've heard the claims.
Yeah. I won't really talk out of school about it, but basically, Jeffrey was my teacher, and he was an incredible teacher. They were very committed over there. I really felt lucky to be there. And
Doris Roberts was there too, right?
Doris
The mom
Roberts
from
was
Everyone
there.
Loves
Yeah,
Raymond.
lots of great actors
Yep.
have come out of there. Milton Katsalis was the big head guru over there, but perhaps it was a bit too guru-y. Guru-y, is that a word?
Yeah.
Guru-y?
Why do you say that?
Because there was a lot of shenanigans there that, he was really into having people really commit to their acting career and commit to him as a teacher. And so sometimes he kind of seemed to leverage that so that he would say, well, if you're really committed to me, and this is just, it never happened to me. So I'm just talking from other people's experience, but he would say things like, well, I'm really supporting your career, so you need to support my art career as well. So they'd like buy these very expensive paintings from him. But
wow.
I don't know,
That's
I don't know.
so weird.
I don't want to gossip too much, but Giovanni Ribisi.
Well, it's
Jenna
not gossip if
Elfman.
that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it never happened to me, so that's why I'm saying.
That's so interesting that he would hold that over you, because I would think it's that's such weird leverage, because I would think, I mean, I'm saying I probably would have been susceptible to it if I were a young actor newer to the business. But if I'm showing up to your class or your studio and I'm paying you for your time and your expertise in this specific area, that's the exchange. I'm giving you money for an education. Now if part of the exchange in the agreement is, I have to also buy a painting.
Yeah, I know.
then if that's up front, then fine. But like, once I've given you the money and I've sat through your class, then we're even Steven. Like, I don't owe you anything else. I don't need to buy shit from you.
Right. And that was my
so
thought too.
weird.
And I had Richard Lawson and I had Jeffrey Tambor, and they never did anything like that. And they were great teachers. Like, some of my greatest experiences as an actor happened in that class. As far as that other stuff about buying paintings, or they had a really high level of commitment. Jeffrey Tambor would sometimes write it into his contract that he had to be out to teach that class. And sometimes he would fly all the way from New York back to LA just to teach the class. So the level of commitment was super high. Yeah. Yeah.
That's impressive.
As a result of that, sometimes it seemed like they required a little more of their students, not them, but Milton probably a little bit more.
Wow, he's really committed to his students. When you say more, it doesn't sound like it's just him, like, oh, you need to support like my personal artwork. What else did he ever cross the line in class the way that like the rumors have it with some of these other actor guru types like James Franco, where it's like, oh, you should take off your clothes if you're committed to the role. Oh, you should like, did he cross that line from what
my
anyone
experience
said?
Is I think so. Yeah. I think that there were things where he like had people wash his feet, and then perhaps some sexual things where, that Me Too thing. And this is a different kind of, I guess, world we're in now, where people are finally holding people accountable for this kind of stuff.
Right.
But I think there is a real danger with acting teachers taking on this kind of guru status, where they then use that to manipulate people. And they can say, oh, I'm just dating a student or whatever. But the fact is, they've been put in a power position, and they've also been put in a position where they've asked people to be extremely vulnerable. And they know a lot about you. And when you know a lot about somebody, you can, if you're not on the up and up, you can manipulate people,
Yes.
And that happens probably in psychiatry and acting and any place where you're really getting in people's heads. Right?
And I would add an extra layer of twistedness to this, is in the art, in what we do, and really in this city, the more vulnerable and the more open and the more you reveal yourself, the wounded parts, the more you're rewarded for that. Yeah. So you're rewarded by attention, you're rewarded by jobs, which equals money, you're rewarded, but even at the base level, I remember in, some of my earlier acting classes when they would push you to that level and they would get you there and you would just, and you're just a mess. Yeah. The teacher would then be like, look at that, guys. Yeah, we see you, Hank. It's amazing, amazing. And you're like, meanwhile, you're like on the floor. You're like, what?
Yeah.
They're like, amazing work, amazing work. Okay, go sit down next. Who else wants to jump? I mean, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
like
you really have to be careful with
I
people.
think it really takes. Yes, I think that not every acting teacher really knows how to. I think when it comes to acting training, you really have to give actors the skills to not only drop in to those places of vulnerability, but to bring themselves out of it and to do it safely.
Yes. That's why I
So,
like
and I
Ivana
think
Chubbuck.
the industry now.
That's why
Who?
I like
Ivana
Ivana
Chubbuck?
Chubbuck, yeah, because she uses.
What was her method that supported that?
She also has studied psychology, and she has a method
Oh,
where
okay.
you do substitutions of people in your life for the character. So in your like pre-work on the scene, you deal with actual situations that are going on in your life currently, and you use substitutions for the different characters. And she encourages you to do that, but work through psychological problems through the scene. And she says if you're not enjoying it, if you're not enjoying acting, then you're doing it wrong. You know, and actually, I think it's actually very therapeutic for people because they're working through their own problems through a scene, essentially.
Yes, I would
not just
yeah,
trying to
sure.
remember some horrible thing that happened to you and then just let it lie there. You know.
Sure, but it also has to be appropriate for the this scene. It can't be what do they call it? Like it can't be like this scene is actually not about you. This scene's about like the dialogue and then your partner. Otherwise, it's like very masturbatory. I remember. It makes me think of a time in a class where I like lost my mind. Like I was like, right, just and I in my mind, in the back of my head, as I'm like reading these lines, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going there. Like I'm doing it. Like I'm showing them all of me and my pain and it was actually reflective of something that was happening in my personal life. And I was like, well, I'm going to use it. And when I finished that, the teacher was like, she was like, Hank, what is going on right now? She was like, because I see you bringing in, like conjuring up all these phantoms that are not appropriate for this scene.
Yeah.
It's like, and so that was a lesson in me being like, oh yes, like don't ever forget what your job is
To tell the story.
Like this is
that story.
This is a story that you're being told. Is it appropriate for you to do all that? So anyways, I recommend therapy for all actors, everybody, anyway. In addition to your acting teachers and your peers are not therapists. Go to a real therapist. Totally. and yeah, what was the last time you were at Beverly Hills Playhouse?
Oh, I mean, it must have been 20 years ago or something like that. It was a long time ago.
What? Yeah. No way, Joel.
That was when I was like 12,
Well, when you were 7 years old. When you were 7 years old was the last time you were there.
But yeah, it was a long time ago, and it was a great time of my life, I'll tell you. But I kind of emerged unscathed from any kind of scandalous kind of things that might be going on.
Well, the early aughts were kind of a wild time. I mean, we're having like a little bit of what do I call it? A reckoning with like stuff that happened in the early 2000s, like Britney Spears and the way we treated. I'm trying to think of like other people in the media that people are coming back around. They're like, you know what, we weren't so nice. Like, oh, Anne Hathaway. They're like, yeah, we hated on a female for having ambition and goals, and but like the early aughts were also like the height of what are they? Like really like mean comedy, like to go back to like how we know each other, but like Lisa, like all of the Comedy Central roasts were big into the 2000s. Lisa Lampanelli, Sarah Silverman.
How do you feel
like
about
that?
those comedy roasts?
I think they're hilarious. I think they're really funny. They're really funny, but I agree with like appropriateness. Give me 1 second. One of my little like foam ceilings was like falling off. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna stick. I was like, before we end up with like a panel. Ooh, y'all getting a show. All right, great.
I'm gonna show you guys something real quick.
How do I feel about?
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to do something while you were doing that, but let's go back.
Oh,
no. Hold on. Hold on.
happened?
Uh-oh. It's falling apart. The whole show's falling apart. Oh, there we go. Whew. I got a chipmunk. Go back to what you were saying.
Okay. Well, that was kind of like my entry into stand-up, was really like this comedy of that time.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of impressions of minorities. It was misogynist jokes. It was a lot of stereotypes. But I wouldn't say all of that was necessarily bad. Because what it forced me to do as an audience member back then, as someone who was like, oh, I want to be a part of this, was I really had to open my mind and wrap it around just new ways of looking at the world. That's what these comedians did for me. And the initial shock and horror of what they might have been saying was, if they were a good comedian, was always followed up with laughter. And so, I remember hearing like Chris Tucker tell really funny like rape jokes, and and at first you're like, oh, then you're like, oh man, like, because there's cleverness, there's wordplay. I remember sitting down, and there were some certain comedians. So not only were there certain comedians who did things that are completely outdated and inappropriate, like, the blackface, or maybe, any like ching chong joke. I wasn't laughing at them back then, but I could smile along because I was like, well, everyone else thinks it's funny. And now no one would agree that they're funny whatsoever. Yeah. So you just have to like keep up with the times. But the comedians I were really impressed with are ones that were ahead of their time. And there weren't many. And like right now I can only think of one, because his work has just come back into the forefront because he recently passed, which is Paul Mooney. I know there were like a handful of other people who I was like, oh, they were ahead of her. Like Margaret Cho, I always thought was ahead of her time. But Paul Mooney was really, really incendiary with like, he was, at least when I saw him, it was N-word, 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 N-word. And it was just like, I remember one of his jokes, and this one's fine. This one's fine, Joel. He said, this was, no, this was before Obama was president, but so this was during like George W. and Dick Cheney's. And I remember one of his jokes was, he was like, these guys, he was like, whenever you get a Bush and a Dick together, someone's going to get fucked. So it was always like wordplay like that. And it was clever. Like his constant like swearing and constant use of the N-word was very uncomfortable for me. But I go back, when he passed and there were all these tributes of him online, I went back online and I was watching some of his old clips, and I was just like, wow, this stuff really resonates, I think, this year more than ever, given kind of the racial reckoning our country has gone through with Black Lives Matter, given the I think not only the advancements, but also the digression in progress that people of color have faced in this country. But it was, I'm almost kind of like, man, I wish he were still around, because I bet you if I saw him today in person, I would appreciate the set that I saw 10, 15 years ago. So that was really cool. But sorry, oh my God, how did we get to this point? But I was saying, like, Lisa Lampanelli. I thought she was so funny. Her insult comedy. I remember like she did one, I wouldn't say it was like Comedy Central, but she was just so mean and so racist. Like, what's she was like, I've had more black cocks inside of me than a urinal at the Apollo. And then she would like shake some guy's hand. She was like, look at this, faggot. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but maybe some people don't want to hear. But the F word, faggot. He's like, "What's your name?" She's like, "I'm kidding. I'll shake your hand." Shook his hand, and she was like, "Ugh, now I have the AIDS." And everyone in the audience was laughing. Right?
Well, Jack Franklin says George Lopez said the difference between a joke about race joke. Hold on. Difference between a joke about race joke and a racist joke is a joke about race is funny and a racist joke is not.
Okay, I can see that. And the line is very, very thin. you know, and I think the line I think can be very thin, and I think that line is blurrier now more than ever. Even back like Monique, I remember watching Queens of Comedy and being like, oh my goodness. But I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think back then people were just really unafraid to say anything, and the payoff was as long as you made it funny, you would be okay. Yeah, because Lisa Net would. Oh, this was also very funny. She was like, she was like, oh, with the AIDS thing, she was like, you bitches, ladies, shut up, because all of you bitches know that you would catch it if you could, if no wait. If this thing was curable, all you bitches know that you would catch it to lose a quick 80.
Oh my god.
she was,
Well,
she was like, my cheekbones have never looked better, and it's like, ah.
My,
but I mean, it's funny, and it's
my
grounded in
take
truth.
on it
it's
is, if it's
yeah.
mean spirited, then it's not okay. And if it's not mean-spirited, but the other thing is you have to be able to put yourself in the other people's shoes, because you don't know who's going to take something as mean-spirited or not. But if you're genuinely just trying to make people laugh, we're the jesters. So sometimes we have to say things that other people wouldn't say, that are possibly inappropriate, because that's the jester's role, especially in times of real darkness, you know, is we have to find comedy in the really horrific sometimes. I'm going to play some of your comedy.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm going to play some of your comedy.
Oh.
Just as a good
my
segment.
comedy is not anything like Lisa Lampanello.
This is one of your bits. This is good.
All right. Yeah.
Give it up and keep it going for Hank Chen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sally. Keep it going for our host. So fabulous. I just got off the phone with my mom, and we do not get along because she has a real problem with me being, I mean, she's very conservative, very traditional, and hasn't accepted me as not a doctor. Just every conversation with her, okay, you know, comedy can just be hobby, okay? Part-time, independent contractor. Also, you don't have to be gay. Hello, okay, no gay, you don't have to be gay. Gay can be hobby. Gay can be part-time, independent contractor.
I think it's hilarious. That's one of my favorite bits. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Hank, I don't know. I'm going to show this thing with your dog too. I want to show that I found on Instagram.
Oh, great.
Hopefully you'll
hard
enjoy
pivot.
it as well.
Okay.
This is a hard pivot because I have so many animals going on here. You have a dog. This is you.
I
with
do
the
have a
dog.
dog. I got him at the beginning of quarantine,
tell
and
me
this
about
was
it.
like literally the first week that I got him. I was
Yeah.
still fostering him.
Okay, here he is.
God. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Ted. Ted.
Ted. Where's Ted? Where is he?
Teddy. Teddy.
I don't know where he is. Oh, there
Teddy.
he is.
Teddy. Come here. Come here. Look. Look. Teddy.
Oh no.
Come on. Come here.
God. Come on, Teddy.
I will give you this whole
Come
fucking
on.
bag. Come here.
Don't jump.
Come here. Come here.
Don't jump,
Good
Teddy.
boy. Come here. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
no.
He
Is he
slipped
like on the-
right there. That's why I was like, oh!
Come here. Holy fuck. Oh, are you okay? Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Are you serious? Come here.
Look at that.
Teddy,
Happy plant.
do you want your treats? Come here. I promised you some treats if you came.
Oh, wait.
Motherfucker.
I had to have that part in there. That was hilarious. So was he right on the edge of the roof?
Yeah. In fact, I mean, I can probably. What happened was, I was just chilling on the roof with him.
Yeah.
With my laptop, and I did this with my previous dog. I was like, we can just hang out, and literally, I looked up and he was just gone. I was like, where did he go? I stood up, and like the portion of the roof that you see at first when the video starts is where he was at first. He was on the edge. I was like, oh, and I was like, come. And at this point, like I had him for like 2 days. Yes, right. Like, yeah, right. Not even, no, not, that's way far down. What happened was he was only a couple of feet away from me, but this closer portion.
this other
But he
part.
wouldn't come to me. Yeah, so I was like, okay, I need to go and get some treats. And then when I went down to get some treats, leaving him up there was really scary. And I was like, I have to record this because if some dead dog ends up on the sidewalk, I cannot be held liable. Like, I need to show that I did everything in my power to get this dog off the roof. So I started recording, and when I went up, I was like, where to go, because that's where he was before. And then next thing I know, he's all the way at the end. Like I live, obviously, as you can see, in a section of townhomes. So he was like a house down at the very end. It was heart palpitations. There was a lot going on, and because I'm crazy, Joel, I kept him. Like, this is,
well, you love dogs, right?
It's very indicative of my relationships too. I was like, the more drama and the more emotional turbulence you put me through, the more connected I feel. I probably would have been so victimized at the Beverly Hills Playhouse. Thank God I didn't take any classes there. They would have.
Oh my God.
Woo! They would have drugged me through everything, hook, line, and sinker.
God.
Or maybe they wouldn't have, because I'm not a pretty girl. So,
yeah, maybe not. You know what?
Yeah.
I want to show this too. You did the show Laugh Therapy with us, and I have some pictures of that. And there you are.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that?
Oh, really? Wait, do I have these photographs?
No, I don't think so. But they're great.
Oh, I want some of those. That's so funny. It's so interesting, Joel, to see photos from like pre-COVID, because you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, I remember. I actually didn't love that set. I mean, you say that I did fine, but let's just say I've done better. I've done better because yeah.
Well, you had this little thing with this guy who was the comedian before you. And I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
You just asked him like what he was drinking or something.
He was cranky. He was real upset.
Yeah.
And so I just took time. I was like, well, let's have a conversation about this. What's going on? And I guess that interaction wasn't as comedic as I thought it might have been. And
I think
nor interesting, and I think that was my fault too, because I think the set was like 6-7 minutes, and I think when you take time up top to just sort of, you can lose momentum, and you don't have enough time to get back into into a good pattern with the audience. That's what happened to me. Like I think like I chatted, I was like, this isn't going anywhere, and then I tried to jump back into material, and I realized I had used up like half my time, and so I just did my best to recite what I had memorized and, got it out, and I closed decently, but yeah.
Do you like
but,
banter
every
with
set's
the
a learning experience.
Yeah, exactly. Do you like to banter?
Every show's different because of the audience. You will never be able to replicate anything that you did in the past, because it's always going to be new audience, new venue, new day. You're in a new headspace. That's what I love about stand-up, is that it's so inconsistent. It really keeps you on your toes, and I think it makes you a better person, really. I think because you have to just talk about being how you love being so present. That's probably why you're so good at stand-up and like not good as a waiter, because you can't really jump ahead.
Yeah,
like when you're a stand-up, all you really do is you just have to have like your stories and material kind of in the back of your head, and then to like know to look for the light, so you have to like get the fuck off. But other than that, just sort of like deal with what's in front of you if you want to.
You have to be really aware of the audience, right? I mean, it's actually a two-way communication. It's not just you reciting. And the best comedians are like, they're having a conversation. And you do that,
I try. Sometimes the conversations don't go the way that, I mean, I can't control it. They never go the way that I want. But usually there's some level of like amusement that comes from it. And I don't think I was effective in that set at Laugh Therapy, but I'm really honored that you had me. That was really nice of you. And I'm glad. Are you going to do live shows again now that we're reopening up?
At some point, yeah. I'm not ready yet because this whole Delta variant thing, I'm not so sure about. But
yes, I was just reading that today. That like they think that the variant is going to. They're saying the worst of it is yet to come, especially in the United States. And you know what? I believe them, because look at what's happening in India. Look at what's happening in the UK.
Before. I looked at what was happening around the world and go, okay, that could be us any second. So yeah, I'm a little
It
concerned about
will
that.
be us because it
Very
will be
concerned
us
about that, let me
because
say.
because the travel is up. July 4th weekend is happening. Like this, I was never a crowds fan to begin with, and now I have every excuse to tell people not to touch me. Like I like I lived in New York and for many years before coming to Los Angeles, and one thing that I was always so grateful of was never having a consistent 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So I never had to sit through like rush hour. Like the earliest my auditions would ever be might be like 10 o'clock or like a 10:30.
Yeah.
And so by that time it was already like past rush hour. So because I remember going, when I was in school, if you had like a 9 o'clock class, that was a nightmare. Because believe me, like the New York subway system from 7:30 until 9 is just a hellhole. So
Wow.
it's no surprise whatsoever that New York was one of the most infective parts of the country.
Of course, they're so close. Everybody's so close together. I want to show a clip from you doing a comedy because you've got some comedy chops and you're a great character. All right, here we go. This is from Baby Daddy. This is just one thing I thought was pretty funny.
Baby Daddy.
Here it is.
Morning. Honeymoon breakfast for the newlyweds.
Sorry, dude, you've got the wrong room. No one here got married.
Really? That one should check his finger.
Why am I wearing a ring? Did I marry that stripper? I married that stripper, didn't I? God, I have a problem with saying no to naked women. Hey, does anyone know why I'm wearing a wedding ring?
You married that guy.
I married my stepdad?
Okay. This still doesn't explain the dolphin. Your stepdad? That's a new one. And this is Vegas. I'm gonna go. Well, I see the newlyweds are out and about. Guess you got over the whole marrying your stepdad thing. What are you talking about? Yeah, this one married the big one.
Okay, I won't show the whole clip, but that was awesome. I mean, you have a lot of talent. You do hosting, you do stand-up comedy, you do sitcoms. I mean, it's great. What was your how did you train yourself for all this stuff?
It's very nice of you. Yes, I rehearse and I practice and I prepare a lot, but I didn't train myself, I knew I wanted to be an actor. And so I went and I found training. And that's what I tell everyone to do. Like even like a mediocre acting class taught by someone who's not so great will tell you if you want to be in this business or not. That's what, whenever people are like, oh, I think I want to try acting. I think I want to, or right? Like if people want to just say, do stand up, you tell them, go to a mic. Because it's like, if they can sit through that and they want to go back to another mic, you're like, okay, they may have some, they may be cut for this. They may have, because you just have to have endurance. But yeah, I just took, as many acting classes as I could. I was in Chicago for a little bit, took classes there. I found the best of the best. I teachers from Steppenwolf and Second City but I had gone to grad school for acting also, so learn from them.
Were you in Chicago as well? You were there, you were born in Maryland or something, but then you moved to Chicago?
Yeah, I went to Maryland and then I went to Chicago. And I thought going to Chicago, I was like, I'm gonna be on SNL, but it turns out Chicago, once you got to Chicago, it turns out everyone in Chicago is trying to get out of Chicago, which is so interesting.
Well, the only parts everyone in Chicago generally are, really kind of smaller parts that are things that are shot in Chicago.
Yeah.
I was there. I love the theater community, though. The theater community. I worked at Steppenwolf for
when
a while.
You were there?
Yeah. Don't ask me when, but it was a while ago.
But I worked for David O'Connor, the casting director.
Oh, really?
Briefly.
Really?
Does that ring a bell at all?
When I was there when Steppenwolf moved from the tiny little storefront theater to their place where they are now.
To their big venue.
Yeah.
Did you ever remember a theater called Profiles Theater, Daryl W. Cox?
I have heard of that. I've heard of it, but I don't know much.
You have heard of that?
Yeah.
I was like talking about like all these like predators who are like getting their due. Daryl's like Profiles Theater. Well, first of all, he was like an amazing actor. So I remember seeing like this little play, and I was like, this is incredible. And I found out that the theater taught classes.
Yeah.
Well, the theater was shut down a couple of years ago because, as it turns out, like Daryl's method like was no method. Like Daryl was actually like he wasn't stage fighting. He was actually throwing his like fellow co-actors like across. He was like across the floor. Yeah, he was like hitting them. He was like fucking all his co-stars. Like his method was no method. His method was do it for real and do it every night.
Yeah. I know when I was at Step
they
were like that too. I mean, when I was there originally, you know,
really?
John Malkovich and Gary Sinise, when they were doing True West, I think they were drinking real beer. And finally, Malkovich, I think when they were on, you know, in New York with it, he was like, I can't do this anymore because I'm going to become an alcoholic drinking all these beers every night. And then also they had a fight choreographer come in, and they ended up kicking him out because they were like, I guess it was an equity thing, right? And they were like, no, we just want to fight. But then after a while, they realized that this, of course, was not sustainable. And so they've all, you
can't do 8 shows a week like that. Yeah. You're actually going to hurt.
If somebody
you're
punches you in the face,
wow.
Then the next time you're on stage, people are like, why does he have a black eye at the beginning of the play? It doesn't work.
Wow. But, that's so wild that they all did that.
Yeah. Camel wanted me to mention to you, Jonathan Spizzato is a friend of mine who has a thing called Yoke TV, YOLK, where it's for Asian Americans. It's a channel highlighting Asian American actors and comedians and everything. So anyway, we'll have to introduce you.
Did this premiere a couple of days ago?
I believe it's premiering, like maybe within 3 days.
John Spizzato does he have is one of the founders like a white lady with like an Asian husband?
That I don't know. I mean, that could be.
You should. If it's okay, I don't know which property he's a part of, but Joel, Mr. like researcher, which by the way, like that was like it's so sweet of you to like pull on my clips. It's like so nostalgic. I haven't seen some of that stuff in like a really long time. It's very nice of you to like, you know, go back and do this like little mini retrospective of like
I like doing that with
the beginning
people,
of my career. You know? That's so sweet of you, Joel. But someone should do that with you. I mean, you're the one that's been around doing this for a while since you were 6 years old.
Well, you know, I don't know. Jeffrey Tambor kind of did that for me. So check that out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll find it.
So what are you going to tell me? There's some kind of controversy?
I was going to tell you, there is. You should go to Twitter. And there's something, I don't know if it was Yoke TV or if it's like a newsletter or website, but there's some complaents from the Asian American community.
We got to research this
of some cultural appropriation.
Okay.
That has happened. And it's wild. So I don't know. Are you looking stuff up right now?
Jonathan
research it. I don't know
that, so I can't imagine it's
no. Whatever's going on, I was gonna say I don't believe people have bad intentions whatsoever.
Right, it's like what we were talking about. So, you know, the way people take things.
Yes.
You never know. So we'll have to find out.
The way people take things, and for me, I've stopped worrying about that because you just can't control it. You can't. I was raised really religious. I was raised Christian, and I spent most of like my young adult life worrying about everybody else's salvation. But no, I'm just trying to save myself now. Okay, like I cannot. You accept Jesus if you want to, right? Like that's it. They put so much on you. And made you feel so responsible for the lives of other people. It was very unhealthy. And so that's generally how I try to approach my life. Now, obviously, if I say something that hurts someone's feelings or that results in bad or like a bad or negative result, I don't, do that on purpose, and I will apologize. But generally, I can't worry about what one random person out of millions might interact with.
The more fame you get, the more opinions you'll get as well. And so it's something to know about.
Sure.
Right?
Sure, the opinions. But I was I worked with Tyra Banks for a project, and she is the queen of branding, right? Like talk about pivoting. She really knows, she really has staying power, and she even taught a branding course at, I want to say, Berkeley? Stanford. It's whatever's north of here. Stanford. I want to say Stanford.
Stanford.
Someone will find out. So it was Stanford or Berkeley. So she taught a course. And it was like extensive, and it was a business, and it was for business graduate students. And part of her branding, even just like hanging out with her and stuff, part of branding yourself is having a very distinct voice, and that way you get very passionate followers, but you also you become sort of like oil and water to the people who are just clearly not gonna support your brand. I see companies doing that now, like the companies that are like gay pride and blah blah blah, or even you have Burger King that's like got rainbow burgers, right? And then you have like Chick-fil-A on the other side that's like funding like transgender,
please everyone. You don't have to please everyone. It's a little bit scary because a lot of times networks are doing that, where they're just pandering towards one certain political viewpoint, and so that you just keep getting stuck in that viewpoint and you can't see other things. I'm gonna have to end the show because I gotta go get myself one of those rainbow burgers because it just sounds delicious.
I don't know if that's actually true. I just feel like Burger King has rainbows all over the place. But I really appreciate all the corporate pride that's happening. Do you have to? It's almost 1. See, this live show went by like that.
I know. I gotta end the show now. And
you have a heart out.
Yeah. Well, what at the end? At the end, what we do is we do a dance break, where I'm going to play this guy, Justin Johnson. I was going to do some stuff with elephants, but that's going to have to happen on Tuesday. But this guy, I got his shirt on. He plays shovel. He actually is this incredible guitarist. He has his own channel, and we're going to dance. We're going to dance to him playing the shovel. So are you ready?
Sounds good to
me. You
ready
for this? Okay.
Yeah, man.
Let's get it going. Dance break time. Wait, I want to say thanks, Hank, for being on the show. Thanks for having such incredible energy, and it's just really it's a pleasure to have you on the show, and I'd love to have you on.
Joel, it's so good to see you. I want to see you in person soon.
Yeah,
so we gotta start hitting up mics again together. I'm glad things are reopening, before they shut down again because of Delta. But for now,
we'll see how it plays out.
This little window is nice.
There's always lunch therapy. There's always here.
There is. Yes, thank you for having me on. This is so fun. Yeah.
Of course. Here we go. Dance time. It's a fancy show. enjoy this? Let's chat over the weekend with the Christmas travel. There's crosstalk going on. It's great. Anyway, we'll see you all on Tuesday for the next lunch therapy.